Jaya Shiva Rajaya here from vitalcoaching.com. Welcome to the ocean. I'm in Bali over here on the beach in Hamed. And the topic for this video is minimalism. Activate your minimalism. So if you don't know what that is, it means that living with a minimum amount of stuff, simplifying everything. And if you haven't tried that, I encourage you to get rid of stuff. You know, the way it works is this. Every object, everything that you own, you have an energetic or energetic relationship with that object. And so when you are moving energy, you are moving location, or you are moving mindsets, what you are doing is like you are moving this whole container of what you own. So here is what happens. When you buy a book, for instance, or you buy a new piece of music, or you buy a new object, a new piece of furniture, that object that you have in your life contains a certain emotional memory in it. It means that it brings you back to a moment in the past where you established a relationship with that specific object. And so some of those objects might be extremely symbolical. For instance, if I pick up a piece of shell on this beach and I take it with me and I put it somewhere in my garden, the memory of that shell is going to be a very active and positive memory in my field. It's going to feel good because it reminds me of an amazing environment. It reminds me of swimming in the ocean. It reminds me of something that is really precious. But now imagine that there are certain objects that you buy that are, you know, the energetic or the emotional content of these objects might have to do with something that happened to you like 10 years ago. That is maybe a memory that, you know, some memories that are associated with that object can be maybe traumatic, or they might just send you back into a past or into some things that are no longer you today. And so accumulating and keeping all that stuff turns your mind and your life into a museum, something that is really geared towards the past. So every time you take an object or something that you think is precious to you or important to you, and you take that, you know, specific book, or you take that specific object or that specific memory, and you give it away, you burn it, you destroy it, or you give it to charity, what's going to happen is that it's going to release your mind and your attachment to that object and create space inside of you. So it's a little bit like having free memory on your hard disk, on your hard drive. Imagine how good it feels when you buy yourself a new cell phone, a new smartphone, and you have a lot of memory on the smartphone, right? You have lots of space. Space is just infinite potential. It's just potential. When you arrive in a big city and it's completely crowded, and the only way for you to build something is to buy that piece of land where nobody is yet established, you know, it's freaking challenging because the space that is left is very limited. So in your mind, it is the same story. In your life, it is the same story. If you wake up in the morning and you have a schedule which is extremely organized, extremely filled, you have piles of paperwork, you have an environment in your house which is filled with stuff, you know, that creates a cluttered environment for yourself, for your brain, for your mind, that doesn't give spaciousness for new creations. And that sucks, okay? If you want to know the difference between one and the other, just go to a space or go to an environment where you take close to nothing, just enough for survival, and you try to live within this environment with just a very tiny little amount of stuff. Or you take off around the world with a tiny little backpack, just the absolute minimum for survival. And so what this is going to do is that it's going to create space. So in my experience in my past about 25 years ago, I got rid of 95% of what I own. This means memories and pictures and books and music and traces of my past education. And I got rid of all that stuff. I had no furniture left. And then at some point, I felt like my whole system was lifting. The message internally was very clear. It was, I'm free. Wow, I am ready to go. I'm ready to move. And it was as if the roots that I had with this place in Switzerland, these roots were lifted, and I had suddenly lots of free space and free memory inside of me. I created lots of space to be able to move around. And it's still something that I'm practicing 25 years later. What I own right now, I've been in, traveling and spending lots of time in Bali here for the last 5 years. And after 5 years, everything that I would take with me, except for, a couple of bean bags and a couple of hammocks that I have in my space, but basically my personal belongings fit within a couple of bags. One of them is a bag for trekking gear, things that I need if I go into the cold, into high mountains, and another bag is just the basic minimum, a few sarongs, a pair of pants, a pair of sunglasses, and what I need to be able to function, which is basically right now a tablet and my smartphone, and that's it. An external hard drive. But basically the idea is this: it is minimalize everything and see how it works. So there is another idea behind that, and it is the idea of approaching life from a mystical point of view. The tradition from where I come, of course, on a spiritual level, it's really vast, lots of sources of training with Sufism, Buddhism, and mantras, and my tantric and yogic roots, and so on. So there are lots of traditions, but one of them sends me back to the Himalayas and being really within this sadhu, within this nomadic, monastic kind of lifestyle, where all you have is nothing. You just have shelter in the form of a cave, and and some food, or you even go for extended periods of time into fasting, and you keep on diving, going from spot to spot in pilgrimage around across this mountain. So where I come from, in terms of energetic or spiritual tradition, is something that is extremely minimalist. You see the sadhus and monks traveling across the mountains, and they carry nothing with them, just a stick, a few clothes, and maybe a blanket for the night. But it can be extremely simplified. So the quest behind all that is definitely a tantric or spiritual quest. There is something, again, I was telling you earlier about merging with nature and establishing a dynamic, energetic relationship with the nature around me. So part of that, the minimalism makes it very easy. If you want to cross a mountain and you have to bring with you 3 suitcases of stuff that you don't need, of course it's not going to be easy. And so when it comes to relationship to nature, the weight you have to carry is an extremely powerful limiting factor in how free you are to move around. The lighter you are, the more ability you have to travel far and to move really quickly and survive when you are in nature. So everything that I'm telling you here, is the result of my personal experience. I want to inspire you. If you are in a place right now where you feel like you don't know where to go next, try that, minimalism. Try getting rid of a lot of the stuff that is around you. You see this old couch, or you see all this stuff that you have in storage somewhere. Do you really need this? What would happen if you didn't have that stuff? What would happen if your house would be just lots of empty space with very little furniture, with spaces where you can play, where you can train, where you can practice yoga, where you can just be yourself and feel the sense of spaciousness, not needing to even be in nature to feel spacious. But of course, one of the best ways to feel that is to come to natural environments like this one. Yeah, minimalism. I love it. I didn't even know until a couple of years back that there was a name for it. I just started doing it because it felt right, and dissolving the energetic or emotional associations with objects and with things that you own is really a powerful way to come back to source and identify yourself back with spirit rather than with some strange stuff that you own and that you believe represents your identity. Yeah, here we go. Beautiful ocean. Welcome to the beach, to the ocean. I love you. I will see you soon. Jaya, Jaya, Jaya.